Welcome to Bachelor,
a podcast so educational it could be a university class.
With your hosts,
Danielle Dick McHugh,
Kim Hannah,
and Bill Henniger.
Hey everybody, we are back with Bachelor. It's another ladies' night. We have Elaine and Kelsey here this week to talk all things Golden Bachelor in Paradise, and I'm excited to hand over. Thank you so much. You saved me a lot of time and effort this weekend. The show flow. So Elaine is running the show tonight. She asked, and Danielle and Bill and I were like, yep, we would love that. So Elaine, I'm going to hand it off to you. Let's get this party started.
All right. So thank you for letting me do this, because things like this are the things that allow me to procrastinate for my real job. So I appreciate this. So question of the day. I'll get back to Kat in a bit, but she apparently thinks her birthday is a national holiday, which I think is something like, when you're 6 or 7 years old, that's fine. But when you're in your 20s, like, get over it, honey. So and I'm sure she would say this was like, oh my God, the worst birthday she's ever had. But also she didn't have to work and she was sitting on a beach and she was able to drink. So, like, honestly, how bad could it possibly be? But I want to ask you too, what is the best or the worst or the most notable birthday that you ever had?
And also say your first and last name, because I forgot to properly introduce either one of you other than just your name, your first name.
I'm Elaine Eschbaugh. Is that it? You want more?
No, that's great.
That's all I got.
Perfect.
Kelsey Bourbeau.
Go ahead, Kelsey. I'll go first because I can't think of one.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I can.
One.
I thought of one. Yep.
Oh,
go
okay,
ahead.
first.
Okay. I can't believe I didn't remember this at first. So I love celebrating other people's birthdays. And so I like throwing other people's birthday parties. And I have thrown some fun events in my day. But my sister wanted to do something special for my 30th. And she took me on a surprise trip. I did not know where we were going until we were and because we were flying out of Iowa, there's always a layover. So I didn't know where we were going until we got to the second airport and saw LaGuardia at our gate, which means we were going to New York, which I kind of thought maybe we would be going to New York City because we have family there and we both love New York City. But we went there for a long weekend and we saw a Broadway show. We toured Radio City Music Hall. We did all the things that I love and that she loves, and it was super fun. We saw Mamma Mia on Broadway, which was phenomenal, and it was just a super duper fun weekend. And so that, my 30th, is my favorite birthday so far. But I did not act like a spoiled little monster baby because I'm an adult human being, and I was just so excited to celebrate and go somewhere cool.
That's awesome.
So my best birthday, I'd say, was when I was 16. My parents threw me a surprise party, and I went out to dinner with my boyfriend at the time. And then when I came back home, all of my friends were there. And in the garage, my dad had bought me an old red Beetle, which was a huge surprise because he had been making me save up my money for years to buy my own car. And the coolest part actually was that my parents divorced when I was really young, never had a relationship. And if they did, it was negative. But they kind of collaborated on my birthday behind the scenes. So it was a really, really neat thing and a huge surprise.
That's awesome. How about you, Elaine?
So I don't know if I would say like best or worst, but my most interesting or notable birthday was actually a little over a couple weeks ago. When I had my birthday on the same day that my husband donated a kidney to a stranger. So, first of all, it was very nice because I didn't have to work on my birthday. So thank you, Bill, for your generosity. And then, it was that evening when Kim came to the hospital and she brought us some food.
Cold.
And
it was cold, but
it was cold. She brought us pizza, but they seem to have made the pizza, but not the wings, and maybe let the pizza sit there for 40 minutes. And it was kind of a debacle, but I really didn't care because she brought it to the hospital and I was hungry and I got to visit with her, and Bill was very high.
He was very high. It was fun.
Yeah. So it was a very interesting birthday. And also the other thing I will say is I have a friend, like a really awesome friend that I've had since the first grade. And for whatever reason, it's like we always tend to somehow end up together on each other's birthdays. So she lives in Cedar Rapids area now. And it's like on her birthday this year, I just happened to be driving home from Muscatine and I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to stop. And it's her birthday. And then this year, she obviously knew Bill was donating a kidney and she knew he had to be there in the morning. And then, she sent me a text and she's like, on my way to the hospital, where are you? So she showed up in the waiting room as I was waiting and kept me company, as did my other friend, Erin, who I met much later in life. And the three of us had like a pretty fantastic time in the hospital waiting room, the family lounge waiting. So again, I don't know if I'd say it was my best birthday, but it was actually a pretty good birthday and really one of the more notable ones because it's not every day that your husband donates a kidney. In fact, if he did it again, that would not be a good idea. So, it's not something he's going to do often. But it was a good day.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. So I've been doing some thinking and I'm just, I think about all and I know Bill is in this podcast group too, but I was going to say all of the amazing women, but really all of the amazing people who are on this podcast and how I admire all of you because of your knowledge in different areas. So I thought one thing I might do today is to talk to you about what you're an expert in and like what you're really, really passionate about and how it maybe might apply to this show, even if it's kind of a stretch, but, just to get some idea of, what you all are interested in and, what you're an expert in. And Kelsey, I know you are a faculty member in kinesiology, exercise science. And I know you're interested in something that is called BDNF, and it is something that I do not fully understand. So if you could explain it, but explain it like I'm a 4-year-old, that would be great.
Yeah, so I love BDNF. BDNF stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is a really long word for just a neurotransmitter, so a chemical signal in the brain that tells the brain to do things, whether that create new cells called neurons, or create better connections between neurons. But what's so fascinating about BDNF is we know that it's related to cognition, depression, mental health in general, addiction. And we know that individuals with low levels of BDNF struggle in a lot of facets of mental health and cognition. And we also know that when we exercise, our muscle releases this chemical into the blood, which can enter the brain and kind of prompt the creation of new brain-derived neurotrophic factor. So also what's fascinating about BDNF is that over time with age, we have lower levels of BDNF, which in some ways may be related to reduced cognition throughout the lifespan. But the fact that exercise can kind of intervene in that and increase our levels is really fascinating. So I was thinking, okay, well, how does this relate to the Golden Bachelor, Bachelor in Paradise? And with the Golden Bachelor, I think we're witnessing all of these phenomenal humans who are older in age that seem to have pretty high levels of cognition. And I'm wondering, are all of them lifelong exercisers? Did that kind of play a role in that? Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, with Bachelor in Paradise, I'm wondering, well, their levels of cognition don't come across quite so, put together as the individuals in the Golden Bachelor. So even though they look to be exercisers, I don't know what's going on with their BDNF.
Does screen time affect BDNF?
Ooh.
Is there not enough research on that yet? Because I wonder if younger generations will be affected by all the screen time.
Well, screen time, I would guess, decreases exercise maybe not formal exercise, but like activity time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fascinating. I have no idea.
Hmm. Well,
Fascinating.
Kelsey, I will tell you there's a likelihood I'm going to follow up with you to do a Gero Zoom presentation coming up um, for my students and for the community.
I would love it.
And I would love for you to talk about this among our aging population or like across the lifespan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I
maybe
know.
even hypothesizing, because I study dementia, hypothesizing what it means for people who live with dementia.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
So
don't know anything about it with dementia, but I would definitely research it. It sounds very
I would
interesting.
be very interested. Kim, who says she's an expert on nothing.
Yeah. Except maybe Dateline. How to not get murdered by your husband.
But it's always the husband. It's like, I mean, Kim, I think you're really
I
smart
know.
in not getting married because it's always the
That's why
husband.
I'm not getting married because
Yeah, that's a great
I have
point.
a life insurance policy and I am a catch and they will murder me.
Yeah. I mean, if like I've always felt like if for no other reason, I am a catch because of my life insurance since I started my faculty job.
Well,
I get you.
and I watched Killers of the Flower Moon yesterday, which is a great movie. However, it is 3.5 hours long, so be prepared. But after watching that, I'm like, I don't want to ever have money ever because these people were all murdered over their land ownership and their head rights. And no, pass.
So coincidentally, one of my very best friends, her mother-in-law was in town over the weekend, and her mother-in-law is kind of a miserable person. And my friend had the idea they would go to that movie because it is 3.5 hours long. And she said, we should go to a movie. And then she mentioned, and then they actually went to that one because it was so long. So she would not have to interact with her mother-in-law. It was brilliant, brilliant plan.
That is very smart.
Yeah.
I don't hate that idea, actually.
So
That's a
Kim,
That's genius.
I feel like you're selling yourself short and saying you're not an expert in anything. But one of the things I see you, and it comes so naturally to you, or you're so good at it, you don't even notice. And I think this is why you're good at, at fundraising. I mean, number one, you have a passion for the things that you're fundraising for, which really comes through. But also I just feel like you're really good at reading the room and connecting with people where they're at. And you just have really outstanding like communication and social skills. And I will never forget the very first time I met you. It was, I don't know if you remember this, but it was at a New Year's Eve party at Paul Sapp's. And we had some mutual friends who just brought you, and none of us knew you. And we had no idea who it was a very small party, but they just brought this random person. And I just remember like you just kind of fit in, like you had known us forever. So one of the things I see about you is that you just read the room, you have really good social skills, you connect with people. And I'm just curious if it's like you view the relationships you see or the conversations you see differently, because that's part of what you do in fundraising and it's just part of what you're good at.
Maybe. I think I've always um I come from I am a loud person. I come from a very loud family, but in my immediate family, I'm the youngest and there's quite an age difference. And I was always just kind of sitting and listening and watching other people interact. And I think I just kind of I love listening to people tell stories. I've always loved listening. So we always hosted like the community Thanksgiving at our house for people in our church who didn't have anywhere else to go for Thanksgiving. So we often had like older couples whose kids were at the in-laws or whatever, and they would sit around after dinner and just like share stories of their lives in the 20s, 30s, 40s, or whatever. And I would just sit and listen and absorb. And so I think that I just love hearing people's stories and then trying to match where I can connect with them or where I can connect them to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're trying to relate this to the Bachelor in Paradise world, I think that if I was on the beach, I would be the one narrating all the shiz going down.
Yeah.
Because I think I would, like I've said a couple of times, I feel like I would form an alliance with someone and say, listen, unless the like woman you want to marry comes down those stairs, let's just be a couple until it gets closer to the end so that we can have a free vacation and hang out and then I can be the narrator of the
Yeah.
season, and you can drink and take naps.
Yes, and I feel like somewhat Olivia, I think, do I have the right name, on this season of Bachelor in Paradise? She's the one who kind of like observes people and makes kind of the like little funny but kind of a little bit snarky comments.
Yeah, that would be my role, except I don't think I'd be as chaos queenie as she
kind of wouldn't.
But I would be the one making the funny, snarky remarks in the corner.
Yeah, 100%. I buy that. Oh, and you'd be the girl that everybody kind of wanted to hang out with, because you just would like to listen to them talk and tell stories. And yeah, I can see that.
I'm really good at letting people. It's a problem because I feel like I'm sometimes an emotional like punching bag because I'm really good at everyone like releases their drama and their stories on me, and I sit and I listen, and then I don't reciprocate because I don't, but I absorb it all, and then I feel like I need to go. So that's why I would like to do that on the beach, because then at least I'm getting like freckles and free alcohol out of it.
That's fair. That's really fair. I can see that.
Yeah.
So Golden Bachelor, we're 5 episodes in, because this is apparently expedited in terms of they're only 1 hour, and like I just feel like we're having like only 8 episodes. It looks like it's maybe going to be. I heard there's a women tell all. I don't know, but it just seems very condensed or like truncated.
Only 3 women moving on to the hometowns instead of 4.
Yes, exactly. So again, it's at a way just to shorten the show. And I think maybe they weren't 100% confident that anybody was going to watch this. And apparently it's really, like, from what I've read, it's really popular. So 5 episodes in, and I know that's not very many, but do we like Gary more or less than when we started?
I noticed last night, I've noticed this before. I think I like him because I don't think he's faking his personality, and he's a crier. Like, he cries a lot, and I think that that's refreshing to see a man of his age crying on television, because I think so many are like, you can't show your emotions, you have to be super stoic, and he lets his emotions fly. And so I think he's a very genuine person. I still want to know more about the tattoo. Why do you have it? When did you get it? Is there another one we haven't seen yet because you don't take your pants off? Like, I want to know more, but I am pleasantly surprised, and I think that I quite like him.
Kelsey, thoughts?
I agree. The only thing is, and I think it's because the episodes are shortened, I don't feel like I know him very well. So I like him, but I don't know how much I know about him at all. But I like him. I just wish I knew more.
I'm getting the impression that he is a very kind person, and I can't say he's a really interesting person. And I know it's not that maybe he I mean, he may be very interesting, but it's like in the 1 hour episodes and the way they're going, it's like we don't really see that, and maybe he is talking more about himself and, his interests and his hobbies. And but it's just like we're not seeing a lot of that, again, because maybe we're like, oh, no one's going to watch this, we'll just make it really short.
I think he's very Indiana.
Fair.
I think he's a very Midwestern, middle-aged guy.
Yeah. So he sent 3 people home. So there were 6 people, right, at the beginning of the episode. He sent 3 of them home: Ellen, Sandra, and Susan. So we originally liked Ellen because she idolizes Michelle Obama. So we felt like a kinship with her. She was by far the most upset and confused, and kind of, he said too, like she was the hardest decision, and she kind of like poured her heart out and, got sent packing. Susan, I felt, was more like, you win some, you lose some. Hey, it's been fun. Good luck to you. And I feel like maybe she's one of those ones that knew from the beginning, maybe it was like a friend zone thing, but just decided to enjoy the ride, which I totally appreciate. Sandra, I felt like he genuinely liked and respected her, but I felt like she went as far as she could have. And I don't want to talk about like, is it a race issue? But I just felt like she really, from the beginning, you knew she really didn't have a chance to be like in the finals, but she got as close, as she could have. So thoughts on the three that went home?
I think my thoughts are more the three that are there, if I'm allowed, because the whole time we've been talking about how great it is to see women of different body sizes and looks, and the three women that are the final three are, two of them are very tall and thin, and one is short and thin. They all kind of look the same. He and they don't look like his wife. What I will say is they don't look like his wife looked, which is very interesting to me. Although maybe they look like what she looked like when they were first married. I don't know if we've seen any pictures of them from the 70s. But that was interesting to me, that they, like, the ones that made it kind of look more of your stereotypical bachelorette women. But I love the three that have left. All of them had really fun and spunky personalities. Susan is my favorite of all of them. I really loved Ellen the whole time. She was really upset when she had to go home. And so that was sad to me, that he would kind of let the more fun and energetic, I shouldn't say fun and energetic, the more quirky ones go, and keep the three that kind of seem all the same to me.
I was shocked with Ellen. I mean, I was really, really, really shocked when she got sent home. I thought she might have been the one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it makes sense that she was as sad as she was. At least what we saw, it seemed like they really had a connection. I mean, she had just told him that she was falling in love with him. And I didn't expect it at all. Susan and Sandra, I could see going home. We saw some connection.
Out of those last three that were sent home, do you see any of them possibly being the golden bachelorette, if there is a golden bachelorette?
I could see Ellen being the golden bachelorette.
And then I could see Susan, because I feel like she would carry the show pretty well.
Absolutely.
I feel like they need somebody who could carry, and she has enough personality. But I was thinking about this earlier. Who do we know their stories? Because I feel like you need a story.
Well, Ellen has that she has been watching The Bachelor forever, and her friend that died was also a huge Bachelor fan. I don't know that we know the other two very well.
And you're right.
Susan was married to a Major League Baseball player. I think she ran in some kind of upper class circle with, well-known people. And, I don't think it's like when Faith talked about being a homeless teen and not having a mother or father, like, I think that Susan seems to have come from somewhat of a more like privileged background. But yeah, you're right. So what is their story? What's the backstory that you would tell? And I guess one of my questions is, if they were to choose a golden bachelorette, would they want someone who was widowed? Is that a better story than we got divorced?
It seems to be working this season. But we've had widows and divorcees on Bachelor and Bachelorette. And have they ever gone on to be that Bachelor or the Bachelorette?
Yes.
Have any of the actual?
Emily, how long ago was Emily?
Emily Maynard,
yeah. Maynard, I think.
Yeah.
It's
been a while.
Years, yeah. And then how many divorcees have we had? I don't know if there's any.
No, wait, was Jason Mesnick, was he a widow or divorce? Did his wife might have died. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah. I think for the core, I think maybe for the Golden Bachelor audience, they would want to see, this is the weirdest sentence I've said in a while. They would want to see a widower or a widow more than a divorcee, maybe. Whereas the Bachelor and Bachelorette, I think the widow is a harder story, because they don't have they might not have like the kids or the other aspect of when you are a widow and you have kids and grandkids and all that family stuff behind you.
So that kind of relates to something else that I've been thinking about, which is in the end, the three triplets, who I can't tell apart. He's got the three triplets. Two of them are divorcees and one of them is a widow. And it seemed early on he was really connecting with those people who had also lost a spouse to death. So if you would have asked me early on, I would have thought he's going to end up with three widows. But that's not the case. He just has one. So Teresa is a widow. Her husband died in 2014. But the other two are divorced. Is that something that you think matters to him, based on his own background?
I think Teresa's end game. So I think he's still going to end up with a widow who he has a lot in common with. And I think Faith and Leslie it's going to be interesting to see the hometowns. Because I think, Leslie's been divorced a couple of times, right?
Well, I did confirm, like, she actually really did date Prince. I don't know how seriously she dated Prince, but she actually, I thought maybe this was just like a thing that people say, but she did. And then she was married to the chef of the Minnesota Timberwolves, who is very well known in Minneapolis.
What's his name?
It starts with an F.
Never heard of him.
Yeah. Well, me neither. But I also like to eat at Arby's. So
we didn't have a lot of the big chefs coming through the market when I worked there.
Yeah. So Faith, I thought was interesting on her date. So she said she was like a homeless teen. I don't know what that means, or maybe it's just she stumbled on her word. She didn't have a mother and father. There's a lot that was not said there, or it was just cut out and we didn't see it on TV. She's had negative adult relationships. She likes Gary for his stability, and he seems to really like the vulnerability that she's showing. And he has great listening skills, and he's very empathetic. Sometimes I worry that his good listening skills and his empathy just show up in every situation as like a blanket, and they don't discriminate based on, how he's really feeling, or what's going on. But I thought he seemed to really dive into that when she was talking about, her background.
I agree. And so much so, well, I heard a theory that he kind of forgot that he only had 3 roses for hometowns. And so on his one-on-one with Faith, maybe he gave her the rose without kind of realizing that also that meant he's taking.
Oh, no.
It's just a theory. But I've got to say, Faith is not my favorite.
Why?
I don't like I'm not like other girls narrative that is played pretty often. So 2 episodes ago where she's like, I don't know if you noticed, but I held back. Everybody ran towards you. Look how I'm different. And I don't know why it bugged me. I don't know. She's just very into talking about how she's unique compared to the other women. And maybe that's not a bad thing. I don't click with her well. I don't know what it is.
If you're really that unique, why do you have to point out you're so unique?
That's exactly it. It just feels also,
yeah, go.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That's all I was gonna say.
I can't tell her and Leslie apart. I can't like you're not that unique. Your twin is there.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I did do an interesting little deep dive on her. So she was the one who played the guitar at the beginning for him, which I always think like being serenaded leave. It's like awkward. Like, do you look at him in the eye? Do you not look at him? Is it like, how long does this song last? Do I like, I just think it's very awkward if you're just one person and they're like singing a song to you, and then like, do you clap at the end? Or I just am very confused by how you act, and I would feel very awkward.
I think it depends on how good they actually are. If they're terrible, you just stare at the middle of their forehead and try not to laugh until they're finished. And then you go, oh, thank you. That was lovely. Yeah. If they're good, maybe there's a little celebration at the end.
Yeah. I guess he thought she was at least okay because she's still around. I do know you can find her music on Spotify.
So of course you can.
If you go to Faith Martin, and you'll see several songs. I did do a little listening, and I will say it's not really my genre. So maybe someone who has more experience in that genre could evaluate her more.
What genre is it? Like folk music?
No. It's kind of, it would be kind of like I feel like maybe I'm trying to say who she, I want to say who I think she's trying to be. Celine Dion. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys should listen to it. I feel like maybe that would be like, if you were to ask her, who do you want to sound like? It might be like Celine Dion. Maybe Amy Grant. Celine Dion. I'd go that direction. So you'll have to tell me what you think.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Listen to it on your drive to work tomorrow.
Do you think there's a chance then that she came on the Golden Bachelor to have her name out there with music? I think we see that a lot with the younger franchises.
I was surprised. So just this past week, I was surprised because I just decided I think it was during the show. I don't know why I decided to look up, I think it was Susan. So, I was like, I'm going to look up somebody on Instagram. And then it kept suggesting like other people who were also, bachelorettes here. And a lot of them have very, very professional looking like social media, kind of like they have something to promote. They don't look like, my mom's Instagram account or, they, have very filtered and professional looking photographs. So it tells me that
there's no selfies up the nose on their Instagrams. Is that what you're telling me?
That what?
There's no selfies up the nose?
No, I haven't seen any. No.
Well done, lady.
So it tells me that some of these women do have a goal of promoting themselves in a positive way. For what cause? I don't know. Maybe Faith, it is her music career.
I thought the minute she whipped that guitar out in the first episode that she was here to get get music attention. Mm-hmm. That was my immediate thought.
Yeah. So Teresa, I think, is the front runner. If I had to say who I think is he's gonna pick, I would go with Teresa. Thoughts?
Yes. I agree. And I think I didn't notice it until Kathy said, you probably are the front runner or something along those lines to Teresa before she got sent home. And I feel like that was really telling because they see much more than we do in the hour we see per week. So the fact that another contestant said it to Teresa made me like, ooh, she's seeing something here, I think.
Good point. I didn't catch that. Who do you want him to pick?
From the who's left or overall?
No, of the three that are left, who would you want him to pick out of those three?
I mean, Teresa by default, I think. Because I don't think she's devious. I don't think she's calculated. I think she's just clueless. I honestly think she has no concept of that because I think she's just really happy. And when she's really happy, she lets everybody know it, which can be awful if you are not in the same headspace that kind of person is. And clearly Kathy wasn't. So I know Kathy was like, I think you're doing this maliciously. I don't think she is. I think she's just absolutely oblivious to literally anything else around her except her own life. So her own happiness.
We talked about you reading the room, Kim. She doesn't read the room.
No.
What were you going to say, Kelsey?
So I noticed that I don't know if it was this episode or the last episode, it was either Leslie or Faith, because I cannot tell them apart, got a one-on-one. And when the date card was read, you see this like pan over of all the women celebrating, and Teresa jumps over and hugs whoever had just read the date, or whoever just had gotten the date. And I thought, okay, I do think she's a girl's girl. I don't think she's malicious. I think in that moment, I kept rewinding, watching it back, making sure, yep, that was Teresa hugging her, even though she's going on a date with the guy that Teresa wants to end up with. So I don't think she's malicious. I think she just, yeah, like you said, she doesn't read the room. She's excited. She speaks too much, talks too much about it. And
I'm sure her kids have had multiple conversations with her about the way that she behaves, and she doesn't change. But I guarantee you her kids have been like, you need to not act like this all the time in front of other people who aren't in the same place that you are right now. But I'm just guessing. It's not like I've ever had to have those conversations or anything.
can't relate.
I appreciate you
Can't
stepping
relate
into
at
those
all.
shoes,
I have no
Kim.
idea what that would
I
be like.
know. That's a hard step for you to understand. So I do want to point out something where, I'm assuming there will be a Golden Bachelorette, just because I feel like from what I've heard, this is like people are watching this and people are really interested in it. The other thing is, I'm assuming they'll pick somebody from the show, but when was the last time we had a lead from outside of the franchise that didn't start as not a lead? So we didn't know who Gary was. He just, jumped in. But it's like, when is the last time there was just somebody random that we didn't know, that they didn't pick somebody who had already been on a show?
It was
Matt James.
Matt James.
Mm-hmm.
And it was bad because he didn't know how to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but then I didn't know if I should. It wasn't great.
Interesting.
I'll say it. I don't care.
Yeah, no, he didn't do well. He didn't know how like the process even went, if I kind of remember.
He was like too unaffected by the Bachelor going in to be a good Bachelor, I think.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't calculated enough.
All right, so should we talk about Bachelor in Paradise?
Yeah, let's do it.
This girl named Sam shows up, and she's like walking around, and they're all looking at her kind of like she is an alien with 3 eyeballs. And they're like, and then suddenly she says, oh, I'm from, Bachelor in Paradise, Canada. And they're like, oh, thank God, kind of like, you're one of us,
They're very cliquey.
Oh,
man.
They were not impressed with her until she said that. They were like, they put up these big boundaries and walls until they learned that. So apparently you have to have a ticket in, and that ticket in is you've been on a show before and they know who you are.
I still don't think they knew who she was.
No, I don't think so either.
But she said she was on the Canadian version made her legitimate.
Yeah.
It's like when you move to a new school and you're like, oh, I played basketball at my old school, and you are on the basketball team at the new school, and you're immediately welcomed in because you're a good basketball player.
I did think in that moment, oh, they don't know how to use VPN either, because there have been several times where I've tried to figure out how to watch Bachelor in Paradise Canada, and I can't figure out VPN. And I relate to that, not knowing who she was for that reason.
Interesting.
I don't think Jesse knew who she was. He was like, hey, you, what's up, champ?
Yeah, that was kind of awkward. But she's not really fazed by not knowing anybody, because she's just like, I'm gonna tear through this camp and eat you all up alive.
My leather.
They're really for chaos, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. So
all the guys were like, oh, she's our chance. She's our chance.
Yep.
I actually loved her conversation with Sean. Does your mom say that your frontal lobe is fully developed, or whatever that snippet
like
was?
Is your mom the one that says you're mature?
Yeah. His mom's the problem when he tells her he looks like Ken too.
Yes, exactly. And I just like how quickly she exposed what we all, I think, know about Sean, the Nepo baby, mama's boy. It just, it made me like her right away.
Mhm.
Yeah, she was onto that. So it's Kat's birthday. I don't know if you have it on your Google Calendar. I like, when you like download certain calendars for holidays or other events, automatically they go on your Google Calendar. I don't understand why Kat's wasn't on one of those downloads for me. You would think it would just show up on my Google Calendar because apparently it's a holiday.
I feel like it will be now because she'll make it a thing that has to happen because she's so outraged.
Mm-hmm.
She is a danger to herself. There's something not okay. She clearly cannot handle anything not going exactly the way she needs it to go. We saw that last week when she threw the temper tantrum. We saw it this week when she didn't get the birthday, and we saw it this week when she got treated the exact same way she treated Brayden, which was beautiful. I just like there's something not quite there.
I have a feeling she's always been the golden child, whether that be in school or in sport or with friends or her parents. She is the main character in her eyes. She is the one that matters. Everybody else should just modify how they feel around her. Also in her ITM, when she said, I know that I am XYZ and charismatic and this, and she's saying all these really lovely things about herself. I thought, ooh, Kat, this is not a good look for you. Not a good look.
Yeah, I just
No.
feel like it is an ultimate sign of not only immaturity, but also incredible white privilege when you think the rest of the world will stop on your birthday.
Yeah.
I mean, my husband donated a kidney on my birthday. Come on. Like, well, how would Kat have dealt with that? Would she have just said, no, my birthday is way more important than that person?
It wouldn't have been allowed. It would never have even been an opportunity. Yeah. So they celebrated her. I don't know why she doesn't think they didn't celebrate her birthday. They made her a cake. They got a piñata. They did more than they needed to for someone who treats everyone so terribly. I think that she has like she insisted that Jess come up with a theme for the birthday party, and Jess was like sunshine, and then she goes, no, I think it's blah blah blah. Like, don't ask somebody to do something and then not do it the way that is one of my biggest pet peeves, by the way. Like, you ask her to do something, she does it, and then you don't do what she said. So don't do that. Like, I think you can still make a big deal about your birthday until you're like 21. And then on the big ones, like 50, if you want to. Some people don't want to acknowledge birthdays, but what was she turning, 27? Nobody cares. That's not a number that matters. Like, congratulations, you're off your parents' health insurance. Whoopity-doo. Like, good Lord. Calm down.
Do you think that she celebrates everybody else's birthday in her life as intentionally?
Absolutely not.
There's no way she's getting cakes or piñata. I mean, give me a break.
No.
If she does, she lets everybody know that she did it. Oh, look, it's Jess's birthday. Look at all this stuff that I did. I decorated for Jess, and I sang her a song, and I made her a cake, and I did a big Facebook post about it. Yeah, but she's not doing anything behind the scenes. This is not a behind the scenes kind of person.
No, and I'm somebody who I really love birthdays. Embarrassingly, a student asked me my favorite holiday recently, and I'm gonna sound like Kat, but I said my birthday, but it was a panic response. And I know my birthday's not a holiday, but I think life is really, really hard. And so the day that I feel the best about celebrating, and not even like overtly to other people, but as somebody with a pretty significant history with mental health, every time I have a birthday, I'm like, okay, I've gotten through some things. I'm proud of where I am. So really, like, if I think about my favorite day of the year, it probably is my birthday, but for a different reason, not so everybody celebrates it, or so I explicitly celebrate it, but like as a reminder that life is really hard, we made it more. With Kat, I just feel like it's more about like, look how important I am, make me feel important. Look how I'm the star of the show yet again, as if it weren't every other day that she thinks she's the star of the show.
It's like a popularity like proving that she's popular, proving that all these people want to do things with her and she's worthy of a big party. So I think it's her validation on her birthday seems much more external, where Kelsey, yours seems much more internal.
I think so. Because I'm not crying on my birthday because Tanner went on a date instead of celebrating me.
Kelsey, have you ever thrown your birthday cake into the ocean?
I've not done that. Or into a lake, pond, pool.
No bodies
the
of water?
bathtub? The bathtub?
Never. Nope.
Okay, well, all right. I'm
just honored and excited if anyone ever makes me a birthday treat, period, because I'm very hard to cook for. And if someone makes me a cake or buys me a cake, that's a big deal, because it is not, Elaine knows, it's not easy to cook for me. That's an effort. You have to work at it. And I am so appreciative of it.
And when Kim lived with us for, a month, couple months between housing, we actually had a spreadsheet of things Kim could and could not have. And we had it on our fridge. We had a big magnet that held it on the fridge, because we would be like, it's our night to make dinner. And we had to put a little bit more effort into it. So you're absolutely right, Kim. If somebody goes to that effort, it is a big deal.
It was awesome to have dinner made for me sometimes. Anytime I don't have to make my own dinner, it's a big day. So
you're welcome to move back in at any point. We will take you back as a roommate. There's only like 5 people on earth that we would allow to be our roommate.
It was fun. It was fun.
It was fun. Those were the days. So Brayden,
everything I owned in your garage.
Brayden and Rachel Nicole, they painted each other and they gave out candy. I don't know if I understand all the backstory.
They were piñatas.
Yeah, but I feel like I maybe missed why. Was painting themselves related to the candy? I'm confused.
Well, they broke a piñata after they made themselves piñatas, and then candy came out of the piñata, and then they gave out the candy.
Okay. But when they painted each other, they were supposed to be piñatas.
Yes, because there were streamers and stuff that they stuck on themselves too.
Okay, is that a normal
thing? Don't try to make sense of this show, Elaine. There's no, you can't make sense of the dates. There's no rhyme or reason. You and Bill probably aren't gonna paint each other and become piñatas anytime soon.
I just felt like maybe Bill and I had missed something in our relationship, because we've never gotten naked and painted each other. I don't know if this is, we've been married I don't know, 15, 16 years.
I think that means your marriage is okay, that you don't need to feel that you need to do that to spice it up, maybe.
My anniversary is this week, and I just realized it right now. So thank you for bringing that up, because I just remembered.
Yeah.
So I actually felt like they kind of got in this weird zone where I felt like they were maybe, I don't know if they were just I felt like they could have been high on a drug, or maybe high on life. But just kind of high and in this weird zone bubble that they just, I think they had a great time.
I think they both get high on wanting to be wanted or be wanted. And I think we've seen that separately in both of them, that when they're wanted, they feel very
fair
high. Yeah. And then when they're not wanted, they handle it not very poorly, but not well.
I think they kind of genuinely like each other.
Good.
I think they started off as kind of a joke, but I think the more they spend time together, I think I like you. I think I like you.
Is this weird, or did we see this coming?
Neither. I don't think I think I didn't see it coming, and I don't think it's weird. I think they were friends first, which I like, big advocate of that. And I do see a click with them. I think there's this level of respect. I like that Brayden came to Rachel Nicole and said, hey, Sean's saying this, whatever. And I don't think Brayden was trying to get the in with her. I think he was kind of being a good friend and realized Sean's being sketchy, and I'm going to tell you about it. And I just like that. And maybe I'm biased because my husband and I were friends for 7 years before we started dating, but I like their baseline.
I'm a fan of the friends to more than friends also.
Yeah. I would also like to say, Kelsey, welcome to being in the core circle for this podcast by calling Rachel Nicole by her proper name, Rachel Nicole.
Obviously, of course.
So I think you're in. I think you're a keeper. So I guess I will say, and I think I talked about this last time I was on the podcast, I really couldn't see Brayden with anybody after the Bachelorette. You know, I was kind of like, he's just one of those disaster people. But then it's like, was he playing a role? Were the producers encouraging him to do that? I'm not saying, you know, he's someone that would be my style to necessarily date, but he does not seem like this outlier, like dude that is just doesn't have a sense of reality. He doesn't seem that way in Bachelor in Paradise.
I also don't think he's sketchy. I think that one of the reasons Braden has not come across well is because he doesn't modify himself to try to come across well. So then there's a sense of like trustworthiness, maybe. And I didn't like him on Charity Season. And I don't, like you said, I don't think he's my type, but I think he's real. And I like that.
Agree.
Yep.
So I gotta talk about, is it Davia? Am I saying
Davia?
So yes. Davia shows up and she's got 2 different color eyes.
Yes.
And I did a little research on this. You know, I'm a professor, so, you know, I Googled it because professors know all the best ways to do research. So I Googled it. And it's something called heterochromia. Now, and sometimes it's caused by a disease, a condition, like an injury, something like that. But some people are just born with 2 different color eyes. And that is less than 0.5% of our population. So I guess my question is like, is this something unique that makes you more attractive? Or is this something that is like, she's not symmetric, she has 2 different color eyes? Like, is that something that would draw you in or no? I don't know.
Yes, because I'm a huge fan of practical magic, and I don't know if you've ever seen this movie, Elaine, because I know you're not big on the movies. But Aiden Quinn has 2 different colored eyes, and he's beautiful in that movie. And I'm not going to give away the movie for the 4 people, including Elaine, that haven't seen it at this point. But 2 different colored eyes is super hot, and Sandra Bullock agrees with me.
Okay.
I think that Davia might be so objectively attractive that she could have no eyes.
Agreed.
And still be very objectively attractive.
Like insane how beautiful this person is.
Intimidatingly so, even across the TV screen, I think.
Yeah. Like I felt like I should stop eating my cookie while I was watching it because I was like, ooh, I want to look like that.
Do you think it's something like, okay, 2 different color eyes? If you have confidence, that's an asset and you pull it off and people think it's really cool. But if you're subconscious about it gives off the vibe like, ooh, it's more like a defect.
If you're self-conscious about it,
big mole.
Yeah. If you're self-conscious about it and you have the money, you probably get a color contact and nobody knows that you have 2 different colored eyes.
I didn't even think about that. You could, couldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. But then you get married or like you start dating someone, you're spending the night and you take out your contact and they're like, you know, like, what the hell? I think
then you put in the DVD of Practical Magic and you say, look, this is what hot looks like. Don't come at me, bro.
Or maybe it's a powerful screener. You don't like my different colored eyes? You can go home.
Fair. Like, I'm naked. I have 2 different color eyes. Are you leaving? Your decision.
Especially when you look like her and you're naked. I have 2 different colored eyes. Are you leaving?
I don't think they're looking at her eyes.
Nobody's looking at her eyes.
That's a great point. So we do need to talk about Blake. And I have some thoughts about Blake. And I like Blake. But I would just like to say he's not good at the show. Like, he's just not good at it. And at some point, you have to be like, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. And I think he's the problem. Because it's like nothing really lands permanently, and then they just keep taking him back on the show over and over, where it's become a lifestyle for him. And I think he needs to leave this lifestyle and start anew back in Canada, do outdoor nature things, and just move on with his life, because it's getting painful.
He should go on Bachelor in Paradise Canada. I also want to know where their paradise is. Are they like on a lake? Are they in Banff National Park? What's paradise in
But
Canada?
they could be anywhere, because our Bachelor in Paradise is not in the United States.
So maybe Canada's Bachelor in Paradise is in like San Diego. So you just go one country down, or Miami. You just go one country down every time.
South.
And Bachelor in Paradise Mexico is maybe in like Panama or Costa Rica.
So I think he's leaving the show. Like, I think he's about to like exit, self-eliminate.
You do?
He probably should. But why do you think that?
Because at the end, it's like he just like there was this disconnect, and he was so discouraged. And then when you watch the like promo, like I just feel like this is the end of the road. I'm not saying he won't be back on some other franchise show soon. He may be on the next Bachelorette. I mean, God knows
repeats itself.
Yeah, God
maybe
knows
he's the next Golden Bachelor.
He could be. And what's scary is he will still be doing this until he is the age that he can move it automatically into the Golden Bachelor role, because it'll be like, you know, he'll date people, he'll get engaged, you know, he falls very hard and fast, and he attaches to people very quickly, and it's just not working.
But why don't you think it's working with Jess?
Because at the end of the show, it's like they just had like the conversation, it just like, I feel like their conversation was kind of leading next week to this like kind of like I don't know, big moment where they have to make a decision. And I just feel like she's not willing to take a big step, and he's wanting to take a big step, and she's not going to take it with him. And then I think if she's not willing to make that commitment, I think he's just going to leave.
I like Blake.
I like him too, which is why I feel like I'd like to invite him like to Cedar Falls for a few days, you know, talk to him, let him decompress a little bit. And, you know, maybe we could go to Main Street. He can meet some nice ladies. You know, and I just feel like there is more out there for him than this. Why? I feel like it's almost an addiction for him.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
He keeps coming back and back. It's like, let it go, dude. It's okay.
And I wonder,
maybe he likes to get hurt. Maybe that's his kink, is he likes
masochist,
or he likes to get hurt. He likes to get kinked. I don't know.
Yeah,
if that's he likes to get hurt. He likes to have his heart stomped on.
Yeah,
but I feel like people really like him on the show. Like, I mean, he won Katie's season. He came, was it with Claire or Tayshia? He made it very far. Whoever, he liked them both, obviously. And Jess seems to really like him.
I don't like him.
You don't like him? Like, what specifically?
Yeah, what is it?
His big muscle?
I don't like I hate the aw shucks persona. And he gives off, I know, in that I have dated a French Canadian. I know of which I speak. I don't enjoy I'm so like, oh gosh, oh gee. Like, oh, I don't like it.
Yeah, I like him. I buy it.
And I think after you don't make it on one season, move away. Step aside.
And so what if,
it's not for you.
What if his whole goal is just advocacy for the animals in Africa? Maybe this is just another way for him to make more money for his causes, and maybe he's just a really, really, really big advocate.
So this
Great.
Is like
do it on your social media, not on the Bachelor or Bachelorette.
I don't know why, when I was looking at all of the Golden Bachelor women, I also looked at Blake. And in terms of like the aw shucks, Kim, it's like, you know, he knows what a flattering picture is. And, you know, there are pictures of him with his shirt off, and it like, it doesn't.
I'm not saying he's a dumb aw shucks.
No,
I'm just saying he's an aw shucks.
But But it was interesting to me because it's like I kind of see him as this, laid back dude who's doesn't really like, know the game or, whatever. But then you do see him like the way he's posing, and obviously some of them are professional pictures. And so you're right. Like, I mean, what is his goal? And maybe Kelsey, you're right. There is some goal of advocacy there. I don't know, but
Which is great, but he never talks about that on the show.
Fair.
Okay, so you're not wrong.
I
said you're not wrong. I really do what I want him to be.
See, I don't want us to fight over Canada Blake. I'm willing to step aside and be like, not for me. Great for you, not for me.
I don't know. I didn't like him at all at first on Claire and Tayshia's season, whoever he dated on that season. And then I don't even think I particularly liked him on Katie's season. So I'm not really sure what changed for me. Oh, I do know. It was when him and Kendall went to Africa together. And I'm just a Kendall fan.
I forgot about Kendall.
Yeah, I love her so much. So then I was like, oh, well, surely he's good. And now I've just been Team Blake ever since. I have a history of being wrong. I made a good choice with my husband. Outside of that, typically I've been wrong. So, Kim, I'd say you're probably right.
Samesies. So I get it too. I don't know. He doesn't do it for me. But he does it for enough people that they keep inviting him back to shows, and that's what's important.
So here's my question. Do you think he keeps calling the producers back and he's like, well, single again, what's next step? What can I go on? Or do you think they reach out to him as like a character that they really want to continue with?
I bet it's a character they want to continue with, because look at the people on the show right now. They're not like, how many people are very well known? Rachel, him, like who?
They need him.
They need him.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd like to know his negotiations. So it's interesting to me, like how much money they get paid per day depends on how much, like how badly the producers want them. I'd be interested to know his negotiations and how much he gets paid per day compared to other people. I would guess that him and Rachel make more. Rachel, I'm so sorry. Rachel Nicole make more than
respecting the show.
Instance.
Do you think that he has a percentage that he puts straight into his foundation?
No, Kim, I do not.
Because that would make me like him more. If he did a percentage of his salary into, he could send them to me. I can put it in our foundation.
I might do some research more because I don't know like the backstory. Like I don't know anything about his advocacy other than I know he went to Africa. I know he works with an endangered species in Canada.
Which is very cool.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not sure financially if he's like genuinely contributing a substantial amount to that or not. So
maybe he's not, but he's connecting the people with the deep pockets, which is what he should be doing if he's trying to raise money for.
Sounds like he started a fund called Mowgli Moynes Fund, which supports animal education and awareness and funds wildlife conservation organizations and charities.
Okay.
So he probably has an endowment, and then the principal he contributes every year into different charities. And I stop making me like Canada Blake, guys. That's making me kind of like him a little bit.
And he's really against poaching. He does a lot against poaching, and I like that.
I like that too.
Yeah.
But you don't hear him, and maybe it's they cut it out or like the producers don't allow him, but you don't hear him talk about that a lot. Or maybe it's like just not what they're putting on the air.
If I was there biding time and Blake was there, I would say, teach me about all the animals down here. I want to learn about this turtle that keeps harassing us. Like that would be interesting.
Yeah.
We could call it Kim and Blake's Educational Mornings, and anyone who's not super hungover could come join us on our animal education excursions.
I like that you've planned these activities for yourself already. If you were to go on the show, like how you would find this person that you had no romantic interest in, but you would just team up so you could stay on the beach as long as possible and drink and not have to go back to work.
I'm a very cheap person. If I can get a free vacation, I will do a free vacation.
100%. Yeah. Not even free. You get paid for it. You
Even,
have to have more Insta followers to get paid for it, Kim.
I don't have enough Insta followers.
You can work on it. So
I know.
All right. So going into next week, in all of Bachelor in Paradise and Golden Bachelor, like what is one, like your burning question, like I just have to know how this ends up, or one thing that's on your mind that you're just excited to see the development of?
It looks like Gary kind of wants to quit, and I want to know what causes that, if he actually does quit, if they get him back. Like, I want to know the tea, because it looks like the shiz hits the fan next week on Golden Bachelor, and he's really upset. It's kind of like, did you not understand how this show works? Or maybe he just didn't think he would fall in love. I don't think he's in love with Tulsi, but he thinks he is. And so what's going down, and what, I can't wait.
Kelsey?
That would be my number one as well. But number two would be, in terms of Bachelor in Paradise, are any of the couples getting engaged? Because I think in the past few seasons, we've seen some pretty strong relationships already. But right now, I don't see, maybe except for Eliza and Aaron, anything that seems strong enough for an engagement at this point.
And that looks like something's going down next week with them.
Exactly.
So I guess I have a logistical question. Are these two shows going to end at the same time?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't either. Need to look that
because they won't tell you how many episodes there are.
Yeah, and I think from the other podcasts that I listen to, nobody knows when it's going to end. Is it before Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving? Is there a women tell all for Golden Batch? Is there not? It sounds like nobody knows.
Okay. So it's hard when you don't know how close to the end you are for things. I guess I am really interested in how Gary is going to respond in meeting families and like small children and people who think, oh, you love grandma, or your grandma's new husband, like, and people who are more innocent, like, you know, the grandkids, you know, and having to like negotiate that, like that is kind of, I think it's going to be really tricky for him. And maybe that is the cause of kind of the emotional, like, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. Because you do, I mean, I anticipate him being a good listener and kind and empathetic, but is there a part of him that's going to be like, I'm being misleading to these 5-year-olds and these, you know, and the children of this woman? Like, I don't know how he's going to do that. Because I think you do sometimes have to be kind of misleading in these hometown dates, because you know, I mean, I would guess, I don't know, maybe he doesn't know which one it is, but I'll guarantee he knows that there's at least one that it's not.
Who do you think would be the one that it's not?
I think it's gonna be Faith.
Agreed.
I think Faith is gonna be the next one to go home.
Yep.
She's also the youngest. Because the
although
two are like late 60s.
If I was Gary, I'm not sure I would be like, oh my gosh, she slept with Prince and now she's sleeping with me. That's a lot of pressure.
It's kind of weird. I don't know. Yeah. I also want to do just one more thing. I found a fun fact about Leslie that made me like her more. She founded Power Bark. It is a meal replacement bar for dogs on the go. So my understanding, it's like a Cliff Bar for dogs. So if you're going out hiking with your dog and you don't want to bring a whole thing of kibble, it is just a protein bar for your dog, a meal replacement. And it's not a terrible idea if you're being very active with your dog. And she apparently very much enjoys animals and enjoys dogs. So just wanted to throw that out there for y'all. So
nice.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. I'm gonna ask a question now as we get ready to close down. What have you learned? What lessons did you learn this week from either of the shows? Any lessons? I'm throwing this at you.
Let me think.
We
about
never
it.
do a city if Bill's not here, but we always like to do the lessons learned. Did you learn anything, educators?
I think one of the things that I've learned that I maybe like, I don't know, more clarified in my mind was that expecting other people to like having very high expectations about how others will be on your birthday can only lead to disappointment. Like if you're like, oh, I bet there's a surprise party. I bet they got me a cake. I bet I got a lot of like just don't go there because as you get older, like you're only going to be disappointed if you expect your birthday to be this incredibly special day, unless you, which I think is fair, unless you say, hey, it's my birthday, let's go out to eat, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to get a massage. Like put it on if you want to make your birthday special, put it on yourself and do things that you enjoy. Don't wait for other people to stop their lives to do things.
Absolutely. Kelsey? Anything?
I don't think I'll
go. I learned that I think making human piñatas would be kind of fun and kind of hot, and I think I would be all in on doing that activity. Actually, it looked really fun.
We're gonna get emails.
Were involved. I liked it.
We're gonna get a lot of emails about this, Kim. With you being single and throwing that out there, I'm a little bit worried about you. They're coming after you.
Bring it on.
All right, so
Kelsey, no lessons learned.
One thing that I've learned, and this is not specific to these episodes, is that I think I'm a fan of body glitter after watching the past 2 seasons. I think that I'm a big advocate of sparkling at all times.
Yes.
I think we should just make it the norm if we want. I'd like to be 80 and sparkly, thanks to Jess, and I think she deserves some credit for that.
I will join you in that because I rocked all the body glitter in the late 90s when I was in high school and in college, and I would bring it back. I will bring it back in a heartbeat.
I will do it with
Love body glitter.
Team body glitter for sure.
My lotion had glitter in it. My face stuff. Oh,
life is hard. We should be sparkly.
Throw glitter on it.
Yeah, so Kelsey, I just got to say, I was talking to one of my majors, advising her for spring classes. She can take an elective, so she's looking at classes that might be fun or interesting, and she's deciding between your course and another course. I think I'm going to come back, I'll see her this week again, I think I am going to bring up, I really recommend Kelsey because she really does enjoy body glitter. Like
exactly.
your class, If I say that you enjoy body glitter, I think a student would be like, well, her class is going to be fun.
Yes. One time a student put sparkly tinsel in my hair during class last year. I'm big with the sparkles. Also biased, but I think my class is really fun.
I think so too. I think so too, which is why I'm recommending it.
I will elevate it next semester with body glitter for her if she'd like to join.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think she would not be opposed to that. So yeah, it's good to know. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
You have been listening to Bachelor with your hosts, Danielle Dick McGee,
Kim Hanna,
and Bill Henning.
All thoughts and opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the person who spoke them.
If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to the show, leaving a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Also, please share with your family, friends, colleagues, and other ardent Bachelor fans.
If you have comments or questions you would like us to address on the show, you can email us at bachademia@gmail.com.
Or on the Twitter with the handle @Bachademia.
Thanks for listening.